Jackie Boy versus Galen. Who would win? Fight to the death. Sons of Anarchy, Season 5, 387 votes. 90% going with Jax, 10% going with Galen. And here on Fog Entertainment, I'm actually going to go with Galen. I think Galen would beat Jax. Galen in that fight alone in Season 5, Episode 5 proved to me that he can get the job done. And that's like, 60-year-old Galen. What would Galen in his prime have done to Jackson? I think he would have wiped the floor with him, and I've seen a few comments that suggest the same. So yeah, I mean, it might sound like a shock, and obviously Jax has got plot armor, but, obviously size matters and things like that. But, I think thinking Jax would beat up Randall Hightower, I think it's a fair enough assumption. Yeah, he's got the size and the power, but, it's with the heart in the fight as well. Like Rocky Balboa, he beat Ivan Drago. Galen, he's a big enough guy, Galen, but he's not gigantic by any means. But I think he'd have beat Jackie Boy. We are going to check the comments here and see how way they float it. 89 Master, yes, yeah, sorry. Galen versus Jack, that was an interesting fight. I call it a draw when they fought. Galen definitely busted Jax open. Even the Suns were like, whoa, when Galen caught Jax. Jax ain't quite bad, but of all the one-on-one fights, Jax had Galen as the one he held his own. Yeah, I'd say. So, Blockbuster Hollywood Combat says, Jax won every fight he was in. Everyone thinks Jack would lose, can't fight the weight of a wet paper bag. Well, I mean, come on. Jax did pretty much win every fight he was in. I mean, Father Ashby did throw him across the table, so maybe it was just a Belfast thing where he just couldn't get the upper hand on them, even though he kind of battered the fuck out of him. Trey Ashworth says, wasn't Galen beating Jax when they were fighting? Yeah, I mean, Jax was busted open, but just because you're bleeding more doesn't automatically mean, you lost. But you look at it, even after the fight, Galen wasn't really gassed. He was fucking standing there with his shirt undone. Jax is like, fuck, spitting blood. Yeah, Irish, or something he said, yeah. Something like that. Hayden said it was a draw, but Jax got the last hit in before camera switched the next scene. Getting the last hit in don't mean you won. Jax's face was way more messed up. He definitely lost. Just went back and lost it. Yeah, watched. Sorry, he says. Well, yeah. I mean, I would say Jax won that fight. I mean, it wasn't completely one-sided, but you would have to say, if you had to pick a definitive winner, you would go with Galen, I think. Otto WW says, just like most of these questions, people vote on the character they like more than the one that would win. Personally, I'm not going to vote since I don't know who would win, but I think it should be more of a draw between the two. But we know Jax more. Everyone votes for him. Yeah, I mean, obviously, people see Jax tell they're going to defend the guy to the hill. But for me, I think Galen would win. Andrew Smith says Jax hands down, not even close. Big Andy, he's getting his opinion in there. But I mean, considering what we just saw right in the episode, I don't think you can really say Jax would win hands down. Bacon Grizzler says, unpopular opinion, but I truly believe Galen would have mopped the floor with Jax in his younger days. Like Jax would have been lucky to land more than 2 shots on him. Shades1159 says, it may be unpopular, but it's probably true. It was mostly a draw in the show anyway. Bacon Grizzler has responded. Here we are, a bacon sandwich. Exactly, I say unpopular opinion because the poll was 93% in favour of Jax, but that's plot armour at work, to be honest. If you remove that, Jax would probably lose to half the characters in the show. Even Clayways' old ass arthritis hands with pouncing him in that jail self-fight until he hit the bars. Not to mention the priest who's older than my grandfather tossed him over a table without much effort as it takes to lift a feather. That's another true, I've already mentioned that, but I think what you got to bear in mind is, like, Jax at the start of the show is weak. Not mentally, right? He's weak, but I think physically he's also weak. Not saying like he couldn't handle himself, obviously, in the first couple of seasons, but I think Jax Teller in season 1 is like, I know he's not a boy. I know he's like still like late 20s or early 30s. I think even at that point, he might be like 31 by like season 1 starts. But he changes from like a boy, in my opinion, to like a fucking ruthless ass killer by the end. And I think, you've got to compare the two. Obviously, some characters don't really change. It's like Walter White. I mean, I think by the end of season 5 of Breaking Bad, he'd do more in a fight than he would at the end of season 1. But it's not like Walter White is going to turn into this, like, absolute killing machine monster. Well, he does turn into a monster, but he can't do it with his own hands. He does it with his mind. Anyway, Daddy Savage says, you may be right. And Young At says, yeah, that's facts. Jax, would have got fucked up. For an old-ish man, Galen is actually a fucking unit, and I'm going to agree with that. Galen troops, I'm going to agree with the minority here. Going to agree with the minority. But until next time, peace.